Good morning and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Journey. I'm your host, Dave Wescott, and this morning I've got with me co-host Scott the Beekeeper. That dramatic pause was there to make you think that I may have forgotten his name, but the truth of the matter is that I did not. Today in world news, we have some very serious problems facing us. And we're going to be talking about pests and diseases, part 2. Scott's been to the doctor 2 days in a row, and we are now giving our second digest of what that looks like from the diseases and pests.
Do you know that you said entrepreneurial journey?
This is the entrepreneurial journey and teach me bees all combined. Listen, I think that that's a good thing because this, we're going to have a lot of fun. And I hope we don't cut that out because, the fact of the matter is that raising bees and having the podcast, and the podcast is Teach Me Bees. Thank you very much. And having Honey for Hope is a step along the entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah. Should I plug to the other podcast that Dave does? Check out the Entrepreneurial Journey. We're self-promoting here.
Self-promoting. Check it out. Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Journey. I'm your host, Dave Wescott. Or should it be, good morning and welcome to Teach Me Bees. Are you ready to get stung? I was on this reality TV show, and it ties right in this because we're talking about pests and diseases.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. And so,
what's the name of the show?
It's called The Blocks.
Okay.
And I'm glad I got that right. Hey, I was on Real World. People be like, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Who is this guy? What a liar. No, but so I'm the like people refer to me as the honey guy.
The honey guy.
The bee guy.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like
I've gotten those titles.
This was my name. Yeah, they're good titles, right?
They could be called a lot worse.
You could be called a lot worse. One lady wanted to say, "Oh, you should dress up in a bee suit like Jerry Seinfeld, in the Bee Movie." And I had to give her the whole "this is why I don't watch cartoons" thing. And then she was sad. And then so that happened. And then I had one guy who was like, "Why didn't you come in your beekeeper suit? That would have been sure to get you on a winning platform." And I'm like, I'm humble. I don't know that I'm that humble. You know what I mean? And no, the truth is, have you ever seen a big guy get into a bee suit? It's really hard to get out. They're like a onesie, or like those adult pajamas. Do you ever see those adults who wear the onesie pajamas?
Yep.
I always want to punch those people in the face. Like, why do you want to be a child again?
Being a kid's fun. You don't have all the pressures of life. You just get to wake up and your parents give you food.
Being a child is fun for some.
For some, for sure. It's not always great.
Yeah, true story about my childhood. When I was about 10 or 12 years old, I used to pray that God would kill me and that I would die at 10, 11, 12, 13 at night. It was very dark. That's some of how sad my childhood was growing up. I don't share that often, and I'm gonna reach myself back into reality, and I'm gonna pretend like I got stung by a bee. All right, cherry face. So listen, but here was the point of the story: was that every single person that I met who was an entrepreneur on their entrepreneurial journey, sharing with me about Honey for Hope, wanted to share a story about bees. Like every person I talked to wanted to give me their bee story. And we have talked about this multiple times that if you want to be a ladies' man like myself, then what you want to do is have a good bee story because it doesn't matter where you're at.
Everyone's got a bee story.
Everybody has a bee story. And I listened to about 80 freaking bee stories.
Were they this I got stung by a bee kind of story, or was there more diversity than that?
I'm going to say 90% are, I got chased by bees.
Of course.
And, 10% are like, oh my gosh, my husband has a bee farm. My cousin does bees. Oh. Bees are in our family. I'm not to anybody who may have been on the show with me, I apologize if that was you. I was not purposely trying to mock you. I'm just saying that I enjoyed talking with you about bees. So I heard a lot of bee stories, okay? Yep. I heard a lot of stories about people getting stung and chased by bees, and my big thing from that was those weren't bees. Those were wasps, hornets, yellow jackets.
Yeah.
Right? I heard a story about a one guy, and he's out four-wheeling, and he drives over a tree stump or a fallen down tree, and the four-wheeler smashes the tree, and out come a million bees, and they sting him 15 times, and he leaves the four-wheeler.
Just runs.
Yeah, but why didn't you just start the four-wheeler and then smash off, and then ends up in the hospital, and they say if you get stung again, you're going to die. So a lot of those are the stories intense that you hear, but I think it plays into today's call because, at the end of the day, wasps, hornets, and yellow jackets, these are the stingers.
Yeah.
These are the bad guys. They will try to take over a honeybee nest. They will, we kill them around the property. We exterminate their hives when we see them, and they're a pest. And all of those lovely people who have gotten stung, and just like you've heard my stinging story playing football on the beach, bee flies down the pants. I mean, listen, these things happen, and it's wasps, hornets, and yellow jackets.
They're the worst. Yeah, today we want to talk a little bit more about pests and diseases. The last episode we kind of covered varroa mites, tracheal mites, European foul brood, American foul brood. Go back and listen to that episode if you want to hear more about those specific things. And again, I would say if you're encountering something in your hive that you're unsure of what it is, I would Google it. I would call several beekeepers in your area, try and get an opinion, or send them an email with some pictures and say, hey, what do you think this is?
Facebook is a great place for that.
Yeah, there are definitely
there's a
really
lot of good Facebook groups.
I don't always recommend Facebook, but I do recommend it for like beekeeping groups, because there's a lot of really high quality beekeeping groups,
and a lot of beekeepers want to help.
That people just post like 6 photos and they're like, hey, what's going on with my hive? And then people contribute. And it's very regionally based. So what happened to my hive in Western Washington is not going to be the same in Minnesota or Tennessee. Things are going to be a little bit different. And so I'm getting beekeepers who are around you to speak into what might be happening.
I got to share one thing with you while we're talking about this.
Yeah.
So I'm down in Tulsa, and I'm shooting the show.
Yep.
And I'm taking a little break.
Okay.
And I go out to the pool.
Well, that's nice.
And I didn't go in the pool.
Okay.
I went out to the pool, and I was walking around the pool, and I saw on top of the water a cow killer. Now, we've talked about cow killers on this show. Ralph, can you Google the cow killer?
Sure can.
And can you put it on the screen behind us?
Yes.
For our wonderful, beautiful, handsome
viewing audience
that has probably have an amazing bee story. And listen, here's the challenge I want to put out there. Like, if you have a crazy bee story, share it with us. Share your crazy bee story. Share the time you got chased by bees and you poured hot water on them, or you got stung playing a football game. And listen, we're going to turn this into a little contest. We're going to have a little fun with this. Share us your craziest bee pest story, and we will give you a half a pound of raw honey when we produce our honey this summer. If you share with us, and we will be looking for this, but right in the comment section, just share your craziest bee story.
Email is best.
Or DM us.
Yep.
Or email us. What's the easiest way? Let's come up with one.
Scott at honeyforhope.org.
Scott, can you spell that out?
SCOTT at honey with the number 4 hope.org.
Okay, so you heard it there. Ralph, can you throw this in the chat? Or you can actually throw this bad boy in the chat. Okay, this is the cow killer. Look at that mother trucker right there.
For those listening, it has a red bottom, red on its head, and the rest of it is black. It looks like
It looks
a villain.
It looks like a cow killer.
Yeah, it looks like it has evil intentions.
That's a good point you make there, that the things that are poisonous actually look evil, like the copperhead snake. You know, he doesn't look like a python. You know, a python is not that, hey, he's going to try to strangle you, no big deal, we can hang out, right?
He just wants to hug.
I don't know if I would still hang out.
Well, I probably wouldn't either, but they're they're not like the copperhead or the, some of these others with the big spike on their forehead. I mean, they just look deadly.
Yes.
Right? This thing,
if something looks deadly, chances are it is deadly. I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah. And I want to say that that's about the size it was. So, the cow killer. Okay, we got to accomplish a couple things here, but the cow killer was floating on top of the pool water. And I was like, "Oh my God, that's a cow killer. I've never seen one." And the reason that it's called a cow killer, it is a pest, and its sting is more powerful than the northern giant hornet, which we will get to at some point if we don't run out of time talking about nonsense and bee stuff at the same time. So the truth of the matter is that I see this guy and he's sitting there and I'm like, "Oh my God, that's a cow killer. I don't want to feel the sting." Well, I grabbed my trusty smartphone because I'm a social media posting maniac, and I click the camera and I'm ready to move in for a shot. I'm ready to move in, and he's in the water and or she's on the water.
Yeah. And
I'm on the edge of the pool.
Yep.
And then boom, it takes off. And I was like, "Ah!" I'm like an elephant that sees a mouse. I'm going to trample some fools because I know what I just saw. I saw a freaking cow killer, and I don't want that cow killer to zap me in the side of the head or hit me on the hand. I don't want to have nothing to do with this, right?
Oklahoma's different, man.
I'm going to be completely honest with you. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Because when something has the name cow killer, the reason that it has that name is because if it stings a cow, the cow is in excruciating pain and will knock it over. I don't know if one sting can kill a cow. I can't tell you that today, but I know that it has enough power to drop a cow to its knees, and that for me is enough. You say that, I'm leaving the room. It's like the time I got attacked by a praying mantis in a hut in Uruguay. That's a whole different story for a whole different podcast.
Another time.
But, so that's what I saw. That's what I witnessed from the pest standpoint. So, back to this. Scott's going to throw his email address into the chat. And what we would love you to do, if you're listening to this show, if you're having some fun with it, send us an email and tell us your craziest favorite bee story. And it can also be a positive story, too. It doesn't have to be the time you
doesn't have to be traumatic.
Chased away from the bees and you didn't have any clothes on or something like that. I don't know. I'm just imagining things right now. It's early. That's what I'm saying here today. So regardless of that, Scott's married. Don't make it too X-rated. For me, you can make it as X-rated as you want. For Scott, don't make it as X-rated. He hasn't been married as long as I have. For Ralph, if it's for Ralph, it can be triple X. He's been married for like 45 years.
Subtract 25.
He needs a little love. I'm just teasing. Ralph, was that out of line?
No, it wasn't. No.
Okay, that's good.
Nothing that is on this podcast is out of line.
You saw this cow killer. We don't really have those around here, but we do have wasp, hornets, yellow jackets, the bald-faced hornet. A lot of these things, at least if you're in the Northwest, you're going to run into these guys flying around. And a lot of people
bald-faced hornet is the worst.
A lot of people mistake them as bees, especially like a yellow jacket. It's not, first of all. They can sting you so many times, where like a honeybee is going to sting you once.
If it even stings you at all.
Yeah, which it's going to have to be defensive.
They like to, I mean, I was out there with our hives. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of testing this theory out, and I took a hammer and I was rapping on the side of one of the hives.
Okay.
And I did not produce a swarm of bees that did anything to me. I got a couple flybys.
I'm going to check out what the heck's going on here.
But I didn't get touched by a single bee, and I was rapping on the side of their home.
Yeah. The yellow jacket hives, bald-faced hornet hives, they're going to be, yellow jacket, it could be in the ground, could be up in like a tree or like some kind of protected corner. A lot of times they'll find like a nook in a building or something. Like
on an eave. They love the eaves.
Yep, and they'll just kind of pop up there. The interesting thing about like a yellow jacket, hornet, etc., is the hive dies heading into winter, but then the queen survives. So the way to maybe mitigate them the following season is if you can get the queen early in the season. So kind of right now before we get into May, June, when the heat really begins to pick up here in the Northwest. If you're able to catch the queen, there's several different traps you can lay, or the hive's beginning to emerge and you get one of those curious fellows to take a poison back to the hive. You could kill the hive before it causes some damage to your honeybees or to the environment. Because they're carnivores. They'll eat, bee brood.
I like how you put that in the
invade.
notes. They are carnivores looking for their next meal.
Yeah.
They are looters. What I'm reminded of here is the Joker, Heath Ledger in Batman. When I think of a yellow jacket, I think of Heath Ledger in Batman.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that out there.
So there's different traps. There's like a 1-to-1 apple juice water combo that attracts them. I've seen lots of pictures that they get trapped in like a container, and then you can kill them from there. You can put some different stuff in like a cat food. You can look into that. There's different ways you can deal with it. Chemicals, you can spray. If you're gonna use a chemical spray, just make sure it's not near a beehive, because you don't want the yellow jackets to then carry it to a hive or something like that. So just be careful. You can call an exterminator. Those are all different things that you could do to deal with the yellow jacket hives.
That's really good intelligence.
And the crazier one I would say about this is the northern giant hornet.
Ralph, can we bring that up onto the screen here so that the wonderful owners listen? If you have a story about battling the Asian giant hornet, we will give you bonus points.
Yeah, if you fight this bad boy.
If you tell your bee story and it includes an Asian giant hornet, it's got to be a real story, though.
Yeah, don't lie.
Yeah, don't make up a story. We're only giving a half pound of honey. That's only worth about, $150.
I wish.
Well, it's blueberry honey.
The northern giant hornet is not common here in the Northwest, but it has been seen here. It was in British Columbia, which is just north of us.
About 90 minutes away, 120 minutes away.
Yep. This thing's big. Very big.
Do you ever watch that show When Insects Attack?
I have not watched it.
Okay. So the praying mantis, one of the biggest killers of insects, like there is. I mean, praying mantis is awesome. There's a praying mantis, long body.
Yeah.
Killing an Asian giant hornet. Like he's literally eating his face.
Wow.
And he's got him with his hands and and you're seeing his face in between. And then there's one of these guys, his brother or sister is on his back and on the praying mantis's back, and he's eating the praying mantis in half. And he finishes like 10 bites and the praying mantis breaks in half.
Wow. That praying mantis was not attacking the right
while he was eating another guy's face. So one was getting killed and one was attacking. And I don't know if you eat a praying mantis in half if it dies.
I don't know. I'm not a praying mantis expert.
I don't know. Do you have another shot of the Asian giant hornet?
I've got that one, but I've got one of the bald-faced hornets.
Are those your fingers?
No. Dear God, no.
I've heard that the Asian giant hornet, 10 to 15 of them can overrun a 30,000 strong hive in minutes.
That's the bald-faced hornet right there.
That's a nasty mother trucker right there.
Bald-faced hornet, yeah. He's
That
not quite
is
as
nasty.
bad as the giant hornet, though.
You know, I haven't been attacked by a giant hornet.
You don't want to.
I have been attacked by some of those.
If you ever encounter a giant hornet, that's something you need to call in. You need to take some evidence, some photos, some videos, and call your... I don't know.
Who do you call?
Maybe a local beekeeper, but call the state. Get a hold of
somebody.
Agricultural
911 CIA. I've got an Asian giant hornet here. He is the size of my thumb.
They are a very invasive species, not to be messed with. Yeah.
Are we on a Mac right now over there?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, Macs are best.
I don't know that I agree with that at all, but
Well,
I'm sorry, Dave.
Couple other things we want to touch on
I
here
want to know, how did I end up buying a Mac?
because they're the best. That's how.
Well,
Ask your brother.
I don't know that they're the best for business application, like managing monster Excel sheets in crazy Word documents and so forth. So I will say, from a business perspective,
Maybe.
I believe that the PC is much more powerful and does much more amazing of a job. From a creative standpoint or just a having fun standpoint, the Mac far outweighs what the PC brings to the table, in my humble opinion.
No, you're correct.
That's just, you can't do a 700-page Excel sheet on a Mac.
No.
And sometimes in business, you need that for accounting purposes and bidding purposes and calculating the number of stings that you may get. But for fun, the Mac is definitely
better,
the best. And I'll say that, like, my iPhone, like, I love my iPhone. I would never, well, I don't want to say never, but God willing, I'll never have to use an Android phone.
That's right.
Okay. That is another picture of the Asian giant hornet. I mean, it looks like if you smash him, you're going to have to hit him a couple times. I mean, he looks like a serious villain.
I'm not touching him.
No, neither am I.
Nope.
I don't want to have anything to do with that thing. I only want to kill that thing. Okay.
There's moving on here, there's something called nosema, which is a parasite. It looks like a fungus that covers the surface of the midgut of the bee. What happens is the bees swallow the spores of this parasite, and then the spores germinate inside the bee, and kind of eat on the bee's internal food supply. Not great if you're a bee. And the only way it really the bee can kind of get rid of this thing is to release it, to poop it out. But typically when that happens is that contaminates the brood or, comb in some way. And then, nurse bees try to clean it. And then when they touch it, they get it. And so it just kind of spreads rather quickly. It may not,
like COVID.
It may not destroy your hive.
It's COVID for the bee
like
hive.
that.
I'm going to write down COVID in my notes.
Something to that effect.
COVID. Has Pfizer provided a vaccine for this?
I don't think bees take to that.
Dun, dun, dun.
They let Mother Nature deal with it.
They let Mother Nature deal with it. There is no acid to put there. All right. We're coming down to the last 4 minutes of our show here. It's been a wonderful, incredible show.
We've had some fun.
Go ahead and share your last.
There's so on nosema, what you can do, the best thing you can do is have a sanitary hive. Just have good hive hygiene and replace your comb and your frames every few years. Just kind of get them out there, whatever, they might have something on them. Chalkbrood, something to consider. It's a fungal disease. The fungus affects the bees. No one likes fungus.
Nope, I don't, especially on your toes.
Yep, and the bees don't like it either.
Ralph,
in the early
are you getting to that stage in life, Ralph, where you're getting fungus on the toes?
I take good care of my feet. No.
Your wife's
Ralph's got good hygiene.
Yeah.
Good sanitary
I wasn't
conditions.
saying he didn't. Listen,
No.
I wasn't saying he didn't.
It's one of those things that men of a certain age can start dealing with. But
I don't know.
Just,
Are you getting?
I
Are you
nip it in the bud.
Are you getting close to that age?
I'm 51.
Don't look a day past 29, Ralph.
Aw, thanks, Scott.
You know, I mean, I love that, but that is not true.
It is not true.
You know, if you did not have a pure white goatee, then I would totally be on board with that. But the pure white goatee,
Those things out.
listen, Ralph brings gravitas.
I try.
You need,
good.
and I'm not going to say this. This is not a diss. This is this is actually a compliment. You need a wise old owl. Woo, woo. You do. You need someone who's been around, who's seen a thing or two. Like,
I've seen a thing or two.
that's good. That's
So
kind of like an Allstate commercial, or yeah, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
I see.
All right, you want to get back on track? I know.
Chalkbrood. In the early stages.
I'm gonna start calling you the professor.
All right, I'll take that. He's a good basketball player. Dead larvae
Dr. J?
are covered. Nah, it's a small, lesser-known white boy from Oregon. It's called the Professor. Look him up on YouTube. He's pretty good. So the dead larvae are covered with white, fluffy growth, and then are swollen to the size of the cell that they're in. And when this happens, the spore produces long filaments that penetrate the larvae's gut wall that absorb the nutrients from it. And then the larvae is going to die of starvation when it's capped over. So this ain't great if you're a larvae, if you're a bee larvae. And it generally occurs most in wet conditions. The warmer the environment, the less likely this is to occur. So just anytime you're inspecting your brood and you're seeing dead larvae or uncapped cells that look off and weird, just inspect it. This could be one of the things that it is. Could be, one of the foul broods. Take pictures, research what it is, come back to it, ask some fellow beekeepers, and then just be aware of other possible things. Small hive beetles.
Wax moths.
Yeah, small hive beetles are not very common here in the Northwest, but they were in British Columbia, so not far from us. Be aware. And typically, they're a lot more noticeable. They're like a 1/4 inch long. The beetle walking around on your frames, your hives. They like to nest in the corners, kind of away from the bees, but it's in a, that's in a safe space for them. It's provide warmth and
Just
protection from the elements. Get rid of those things. There are traps sold by retailers, chemical options, but again,
apiary hygiene makes a difference.
Again, your hygiene, your sanitation of the apiary, of your beekeeping yard, and the wax moths. Typically not a big issue, but could be. If your hive isn't very strong, it could get overwhelmed by wax moths. But if it's an average to strong hive, wax moths shouldn't provide much of an issue.
And keep your frames in a cold area.
Yeah.
That's the
like
solution.
when you store your frames in the winter in different places, wax moths, that's kind of their favorite, is to just build up over those unused frames. So just be aware. And then, be aware of small pests and things that could cause
mice,
issues.
Bears, and moles. So mice and moles, we want to keep our hives off the ground like we do on our frames, on our hive stands.
I've heard that if you were to keep your hive box on the ground, or it's elevated maybe on one, like a very thin stand or something, not with multiple, that it's heavy, a mole could dig right up and knock it over. So you need to be aware where you're placing it, and are you placing it on a bench or a pallet or something that's much heavier?
That's very good information.
So just be aware of that kind of thing.
And then bears, just we've got fences around our hives.
If a bear comes to your yard, I wouldn't fight it.
We also have some barbed wire,
but
so
you could try and scare it off. Be aware.
You might be able to, or fire a shotgun bullet at it. Rally around the family. Pocket full of shells. That's a Rage Against the Machine lyric. All right.
Be aware. Be careful.
We gotta bring this thing in for a landing. This was a fantastic call. Scott the Beekeeper, you did a fantastic job as usual preparing this incredible content. I wish we could continue this for the next 25 minutes because it's been so fun. Ralph, shout out to you. You bring the gravitas. We love you, and
thank you
that you bring the images to life on our back screen. This has been episode 22 of Pests and Diseases Part 2 on the entrepreneurial journey / teach me bees / live your best life / have a good day / follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, anywhere where it's social. Come hang out and listen. We've got the contest. Don't forget about the contest. You're going to email Scott at honey4hope.org. You're going to hit him up. Now that he has put his email on a social platform, he's going to get absolutely brutalized with junk mail. So listen, tell us your favorite bee story. It can be of when you got stung. It can be a positive story about taking care of bees or honey, but tell us your favorite story, and we're going to give you a half pound of the Honey for Hope honey that is absolutely wonderful, tasteful. The people who eat it, they say it's the best honey they've ever had. We're closing this thing out. Say goodbye, Scott.
Adios. Have a good day, folks.
Now, it would have been really funny if you would have said goodbye, Scott.